Hi everybody, welcome to our masterclass, which is what is your productivity IQ? So this teaching is featured in the Global Learning Festival, and welcome everybody. My name is Stephanie Rosario. So let's get started with today. What is your productivity IQ? So first of all, let's really get a snapshot about what is happening in your world today. So our first question that we're posing is, what are your current projects? So what are you up to most recently? Do you feel that right now you're perhaps juggling a lot of different activities, a lot of different projects? Is it for the short term that you're going to be doing this? Or are you really hoping to cut down on your schedule in order to be more productive? Or perhaps you're just at this point where you know it's going to be like this for a while and you just can't wait for the next holidays. And we definitely have some coming up soon, don't we? So the key thing really is we want to achieve that happy balance, and we want to really balance our work with our rest and relaxation. So the second question has got to do with your Spotify playlist, and that is to do with music and downtime and just relaxing, just chilling. Okay, and we know our best forms of chill out music are definitely like classical music, as well as I definitely have a lot of songs on that are to do with more jazz kind of style of music. So we really want to create that environment where it's restful. Yeah. So the next one that we're looking at is the question about your laptop and the filing that's going on there. So what does it really look like? Is it organized is the underlying question. And a great way to note whether it is organized or not is you can think about if you had that document from 4 days ago that you're working on, putting your heart and soul into, are you able to now retrieve that document just easily, just like that, to maybe send it off to somebody to have a look at? So that is a good indication whether, that is organized in that way, and we'll definitely come back to that point in a moment, so just hang on to that thought. So the next one is just your to-do list, and mine are all with little boxes that I can tick off systematically during the day. And also it's been noted that it's a good time to really prepare your to-do list the night before. So as you pack up your desk, say 4, 5, 6 p.m., to really just jot down the things that didn't get accomplished, things that you need to put off for the next day, and have that down on paper ready to go for the next day itself. So you can sleep soundly knowing you've put that down on paper. So the next question has to do with play. So I know it's a word that we usually leave for the toddlers and the young at heart, but really play is back to the same word, rest and relaxation. So we want to have our downtime. And a big teaching we do in our signature course is about what we call press pause. So in that time, to really not have to worry about what time it is and just let the activity take its natural course. And some people find, watching movies on Netflix or browsing things on YouTube, kind of that space as well, where you can just tune out and just let, all the things that went on during the day just kind of sit back of mind. And also to process that as well, of course, is good through things like journaling. We highly recommend having great questions and jotting it down on paper. So that is your playtime, and just relax and enjoy that. So going back to the question about the filing. So the last question is about folders. So folders is a way we can file a lot of work, a lot of thoughts, documents, And the more organized, the more systematic that filing looks like, then it really is a reflection of what is happening internally as well, in our brain and in our mind management. So the more color coded it is, perhaps I like to use green for things I'm working on currently, and I use red if it's urgent. So you might have your own color coding system, so that within the folder you can find subfolders as well, and it's going to be always easy to come back to things that you're working on, your documents. So really thinking about being highly organized is really fundamental to being highly productive as well, and therefore of course scoring highly with your productivity IQ. So have a real think about that. And the key thing is organizations has within there the hidden word, which is what we've been talking about, being organized. Okay, so next is, these are sort of the more words we let slip when we're not in the peak, not in our peak form. So one, we wear that busy badge. So I'm too busy. So do you want to come out with me this weekend? No, I'm too busy. So this is something we have to be very cautious of, and just be wary if we're using that too much. So some of these are also things we just have as thoughts in our head, and we might not mutter it, we might not say it out loud. So I'm tired, I'm stressed, I'm bored, which is a really interesting one. So also it seems it's more reserved for like teenagers and things. Just keep saying, I'm bored, or even the younger ones under 10, this activity is not my cup of tea, and they'll say that. So I'm in a mess, I want out, I don't want to do this, is usually for the adults more in internal dialogue. And then really when it gets too much, it's either inside our head, or we might even say it out loud. I quit. I don't want to do this. All right. So pretty much those are the negative words that can be said. And it's what we want to stay clear of, stay away from, because if we find ourselves thinking those things or saying those things out loud, then our productivity is not all that great in that moment. So on the flip side, what does it really look like? Well, when somebody is highly productive, they are very much on a roll. They are generating a positive output. Some people get on the roll and just find that they have to drive it the whole day. Some people even do it into the late hours, early morning, because they're just so engrossed in what they're doing that they know they are creating something very special and very unique to themselves. So they keep doing it, and it comes in that creative streak. So all in all, they have that energy, they have that momentum, the energy builds, and they are highly focused, and everything they're doing is really intentional. So we say it's on purpose, and usually applied, you can say definitely 100% with a lot of passion. And that's our tagline here. It might take a week, with passion and purpose. And the key thing we want to emphasize here is they are in their flow. They're in this genius zone, we also like to call it. So in this moment, what's happening is they are really present. They are in that moment. They are alive with all these amazing thoughts and ideas and energy that they have. And therefore, they're shining with their full productivity. And we can just say, that they've got a glow about them. It's an inside out. It's infectious. And therefore, we call it that flow glow. So the key thing to know here is that we don't need to just look back on what's going on in our life when it's December 31st. we can always be looking in the rear view mirror. And that's what we're going to be learning in today's masterclass, is that when we aspire to do life with all this fun and creativity, using our talents, our skills, all our efforts to bring about this positivity and this awe-inspiring outcomes that usually come about in terms of things like an achievement or a significant milestone or just a completed project that brings you absolute joy. So we don't need to reserve this for just the end of the year when we do this activity, which we're going to be learning today. So when we do our checkup on our productivity, we can actually do it any time of the year. We can measure how we're doing in our productivity IQ. So I'm sure that's what we're all invested here today to really learn, and this is going to allow us to go to the next level in what we're doing. So how do we do this? So I'm glad you asked. That's where we're at right in this moment. We're going to learn how to measure our past. So we measure our productivity IQ by the past. We can also measure it by the present, what's going on right now. And lastly, we can measure it by the future. So the very first one we're looking at is measuring it by the past. So think back to a time when you were highly super duper productive, and you can say in your zone, and of course not checking at your watch every now and then. And it doesn't have to be just whatever you deem as work related as well. So you're in your zone, and let's have a look at that. Yeah, what it is. It can be to do with your business, can be to do with your heart-centered projects, and perhaps even some work that you're doing in the community. So how I really came about this measurement of measure in the past is that for me, I had a super duper happening year, and I've really allowed it to prolong even more than a year now, which is just really amazing, really cool for me. And the thing is that what happened in my season, this is a year, is that I really just recovered from my own health challenges and really was able to do all these amazing things, which was build my website, which is where it's at now, mydayweek.com, create season 1 of Let's Talk Boss, which is beautiful, original, somebody special. I planned my 2-day wedding, which was a ceremony, wedding ceremony and wedding reception in the vineyard. And we also, with my now hubby, purchased our property and furnished the house also with all these individual items and furniture, and did all the interior decorating, which is good fun as well. And just by God's grace was able to have that wedding, because that was during the lockdown, infamous lockdown in Melbourne, when we planned the wedding. And we just picked a date, 121121, and just went for it. And what to say, like all those things all together just created one word, if I could sum it up, was really epic. There was so much going on, and underlying words were like, it was just so blessed and beautiful and joyful and all of the above. So that was just such a really awesome time, awesome year. So I really managed to flip the script on certain things that were going on in my life that were the energy zappers, and forgiveness was really an art form I learned, and that was something that also helped to underpin all that amazingness and that in your flow joy and blissfulness. So that's also something we teach on in our signature course, which is called Energy Zappers, Time Links and Money Links. And this one I noted that forgiveness and harboring any icky feelings is definitely a big energy zapper, which can also get into, of course, our productivity IQ and our productivity capacity. So together with all those amazing things in terms of ingredients that I put into the mix, it really created that ripple effect. So if you've ever thrown a pebble into the lake and you see it make that ripple effect, that's the energy and the force of, you know, all these amazing things that we put into the mix. So that is really powerful, and that's how you can make it happen as well. So now I really want to throw the floor back to you, and it's talking about your very special and precious moments to measure the past, which is our first measurement we're using in our productivity IQ. So find a moment in time, and it could be from last year, it could be the year before. Prefer not to go any more further back than say 2 years, and it could be just last month and up to, you can have a year, a happening year, or if you want to limit it down to say 6 months. So really want you to think about that time and sit on that right now, just to have a moment to pause on that time. So that's what I really advise you to do, is to pause this video at this point in time. Give yourself a minute or two, maybe put the kettle on, put on like some nice music and have a lovely cup of tea, and think of all the words that come to mind, or your stream of consciousness. You should have pen and paper in hand and just really jot down this special and precious moment to you. Yeah, and just give yourself a moment to jot down the key words, the key things that happened, some feelings that came about that moment as well. So just give yourself some time out and pause this video right now.